Amazing. Okay, so thank you all for joining today. So my name is Mona, and I am from the International Office at Kingston University. So I'm going to be handing over to Professor Vesna Burick.
Exactly, that's it. Yes.
So she is head of School of Computer Science and Mathematics. So over to you, Vesna, and if you could also introduce the other academics that are also joining us this afternoon.
Yes. Oh, hello, everybody. It is really my pleasure and my honor to open this, the webinar or kind of gathering of all of us to talk about the courses and the lovely experience that, we're all having at Kingston University. Yes, I'm head of School of Computer Science and Mathematics. We're part of the Faculty of Engineering, Computing and the Environment. So we're very much the epicenter of the STEM subject area within Kingston University. I'm delighted that we're joined today by data science experts from our school, for Dr. Farzana Rahman in our school, then by the head of department in the School of Engineering, Dr. Olga Duran, associate professor, and Dr. Stephen Barton, also associate professor from the School of Life Sciences, Pharmacy and Chemistry. We also have some students here, our current students, and we have some alumni, people who have completed the courses with us, and they will be very happy to share their experience. I can see Himanshu and Angela here. They will be very happy to share their experiences with you. Before we start, I just wanted to, as a way of welcome, just to tell you something that you don't hear from the courses and from, the kind of nitty-gritty of your study. That is that you are joining a very vibrant environment. The university has just introduced its new strategy called Townhouse Strategy, which is so radical and so ambitious that you will be enjoying the fruits of it and you will be part of that journey. It's epicentered around the cybersecurity, the digital era, the digital innovation, within the university. So it's not just about STEM, it is about STEM in the context, and you will be learning a lot about that in your study. We're here to answer your questions and to explain further details, but then you will hear the details from our colleagues. Everybody will be given the presentation to this audience today. That's all from me for now. I'll jump in as and when I need it.
Thank you so much, Professor Vesna. So I'm going to hand over to Farzana, I believe. She'll be kicking off the webinar with her presentation.
I'll start sharing my screen. Okay. Can everyone see it?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the STEM at KU webinar. I am Farzana Rahman. I am one of the module leaders for MSc Data Science courses. Also, I am a bioinformatician and a data science researcher by training. My research primarily focuses on AI and deep learning innovation to combat drug resistance and crisis management, which is one of the UK government's national, international, global strategy and priority for applied health and environment. So furthermore, I am also working in improving computer science education via Wikipedia knowledge base and by bridging the gender gap through widening participation in computer science education. So as you already aware that where is Kingston based, so I wouldn't go in further detail. It just is in within the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames. And Vesna was mentioning about the townhouse, which is actually our library, the building, you can see it here. It's one of the iconic buildings, not just within Kingston, but UK-wide, because it won the 2021 Royal Institute of British Architecture RIBA Sterling Prize, confirming that it's Britain's best new building. It's one of the landmark for all of us, actually. Okay, so I'll give a little bit of a brief about the School of Computer Science and Maths. So we have 48 academic staffs specializing in different domains of computer science, ranging from bioinformatics, data science, computer vision, user experience, then game development, network and data communication, and also image processing, and of course, wireless communication. Here you will see on the right hand side that we have I've mentioned few of our renowned professors' name who are experts in different fields that I've mentioned. And in terms of research, we have a commendable national and international research reputation, which our research is creating real life impact both nationally and globally. And it, as I mentioned earlier, like the subject matter experts, we have actually research impacting creating real life impact in AI image processing, computer vision, and we have
Sorry, Fazana, I
secured.
think someone needs to mute their microphone. Okay, I think it's better now. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, we have some interference.
That's okay. So, right. Okay. So we have our school has received a very interesting and renowned fundings like Wellcome Trust, which was awarded to Professor Sarah Berman for applied medical imaging, and as well as the network and information security research team. They have won the UK National Cyber Security a Silver Award for Research Excellence in 2012. So, and there are furthermore many accreditation and then research funding has been achieved by the university in this year as well. Okay, so I'll go in detail about the MSc Data Science, Software Engineering, a bit of information systems and information security and agile computing. So the first question you might have something like that, how these MSc computer science modules are taught at KU for postgraduates. So we run intensive teaching mode. The modules are run in intensive teaching mode. Having said that, every term we have 2 modules. For example, for data science, we got actually 4 modules that the students who are attending a data science course, they will be taught 4 modules in parallel to their dissertation modules. So the first 2 modules will be starting from September till December. And as I said, it is intensive. That means the student will attend lecture 1 full week from 9 till 5 or 10 till 6 p.m., where they attend a lecture, seminar, workshop, as well as practical hands-on with the lecturers and the TAs. And after that, they go back. They have got 1 week of a break where they reflect what was taught, and they are given their first coursework. And then they start working on the coursework. Then in the week 3, they come back and they again go through an intensive teaching week. And after that, when the week 3 is over, they have some time, couple of weeks, to go over and to do work on their first and second coursework and then submit. So as I said, intensive. So it is quite intensive in terms of if you think that you are actually coming 1 week from morning till evening and then working and then completing your course. But also it actually helps students coming from both professional, like part-time or full-time students, who come from a work culture or coming fresh out of university, because they can enjoy this education and intensive week, like intensive education for just a couple of weeks, and then they can actually go out on their own to have a self-directed learning. So, okay, so why data science, or why students are coming to study data science? Well, everyone knows that it's a very crucial moment for us to empower organizations and individuals to harness the power of data-driven informed decision making. And data science plays a crucial role in that because it actually helps our students to gain insight, predict outcomes, and foster innovation, and then address complex challenges across a wide range of domains. So we try to we have built and developed our course in such a way that the students are industry and both academic industry ready when they actually graduate from here. So they come here, they not just learn the theory, but also the practical implementation. And they work with actually open source real-time data, as well as they can access through our academics and researcher world-class data to play around and come up with some innovation, and which gives them some chance to even publish in or reputed journal if they are interested. And of course, if they're doing great work. Okay, so in terms of job scopes, so there are several roles that actually fits quite toward data science. For example, data analyst, data engineer, and if someone is interested to develop a further skill in deep learning or machine learning, they can actually go for developing DevOps or apply for DevOps and machine learning jobs, so it's quite a wider domain to learn and then apply. Okay, so as I mentioned, that is we have 4 modules for data science. So these are the 4 modules that you can see. So students starting in September, you will start with applied data programming, which I'll be teaching with another of my colleague, and then data analytics and visualization, and then you go back for Christmas holiday and you come back. You learn machine learning, artificial intelligence, and database and data management module. And in parallel, you will start building up your research skills and by taking up a MSc dissolution project. So you can, during your time when we are actually teaching you, then you have chance to meet other academics, understand their expertise and domain knowledge, and then you can actually propose them with some unique idea that you have, or maybe you can take one of their research idea to work with them on a final year dissertation project, and this project, if you are doing pretty well in that you have actually better scope to do an internship at KU, which I'll talk later. Okay, and students who are coming for professional placement for data science or any, then this is the time then they start also looking for job for future employability and placement. Okay. As I was talking about employability and career at KU, we have got a very interesting scope and support available for both existing students and graduates through our alumni network, then graduate career community, as well as some interesting platform we have. For example, Handshake is a platform where the students can find information about their future jobs, internship, and employability. Also, we have Career Zone, which is an online platform that has got very interesting learning materials and tools to support students and graduates' professional development. Also, we have got stream channels which showcases recordings of workshop and employer session, because in Kingston, we host actually several career festival, and then we bring industry partners to give talk about their job opportunities. Through those sessions, the student can actually explore what are the opportunities available and what the employers are looking for from a student. So they can view this workshop and recorded sessions through the stream channels. And we have got a very extensive alumni network, and a few of our alumni and existing students are here. You will have a chance to talk and ask questions to them later on. Furthermore, we have got actually one-to-one career guidance for students. So there are plenty of scope to not only be educated, but also actually find out the future potential and then harness it. Okay, right. So finally, I'll just talk a little bit about the internship scope that our school has initiated this year. I mean, actually just from this couple of months ago. So this is a new scope for current MSc and final year students who are finishing their degree. So if one of the student, or if any student is doing really good in their final year project or MSc dissertation, and the supervisor and the other team in the supervisory team, they think that the student has done exceptionally well, and they can publish their work, which they have done, but they need a little bit of time and support from the supervisor. So we give those students opportunity to be employed at university to do a couple of months, like 2 to 3 months internship. So in that time, they actually expand the work that they have done as part of the dissertation or final year project, and then we help them to publish it. So I do not have an example yet to show you at this point, because as I said, the internship program has just started this year, and I have got 2 students actually working in 2 internships. So if I'll say like the MSc data science student who are joining in September, so by the time you come, you will find few of your alumni, they have done it and they are publishing their work in reputed journals. Okay, like MSc Data Science, all other MSc courses are run in this way. You may ask questions later on in the session, but all the structures for the MSc modules for computer science are pretty much same, like I said, intensive module, and the similar way it is run exactly the same way. Okay, so I think you will have some questions, but we'll take the question later. Thank you for listening.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Fazana. I'm going to pass on to Stephen now.
Hello, I'm just trying to share my screen.
That's fine. Thanks, Stephen. This is just to mention that we actually have a feedback form that one of my colleagues will post in the chat box. So please take some time to fill this in at the end of the session. Because your feedback is very crucial to us, and it does support us with future kind of webinars that we organise. So yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mona. Hopefully you can all see my screen. So I'm speaking on behalf of the School of Life Sciences, Pharmacy and Chemistry, and we do a range of courses going from analytical chemistry through pharmaceutical sciences, pharm analysis, forensics, and then in our life science area, we have courses in cancer biology and biomedical sciences. And so again, I'm a associate professor in actually in analytical chemistry, and as the previous speaker said, as Fazma said, we do like to have good international links with overseas institutions and other ones within the UK, and we feed this through into our projects, as you'll see later on. So I myself have quite a few links with various colleges in India, particular one, Bombay College of Pharmacy, where I do an awful lot of work and publish with them. You can look at my ResearchGate profile if you wish to see some of the areas of research we do. And another area I've been working with recently is University of Kerbala in Iraq. And this is interesting because it was a former MSc student from there who graduated some time ago, did a PhD, and he's now a professor. He's associate professor at his own university. And so we're keeping contact with the previous students and continuing research with them, which is really nice way to, we like to keep in contact with students when they've left and work with them if we can. So the postgraduate courses, most of them offer the option of a postgraduate placement year. I've said just a little bit about it because I know you've probably heard about it already, but it's a way where you can actually work for a year directly after the degree. So it's a 2-year course effectively. And the advantages is a very good way to get work experience and develop skills and a relationship with employers. The logo I've put in the top corner, Bristol Laboratories, have taken a lot of our students in the life science and chemistry area, and not only that, but they've actually offered full-time employment. So we've got quite a few students there now who have moved on from their placement and are now full-time employees within the company. So research is a really important area in science, and we bring this in through our research-led teaching and also through our projects. And so I'm going to give you 3 examples of the type of things that we do with students as their projects. And we do a lot of health-related studies. And so this particular one, we were looking at anti-cancer drugs, and it was a project with the Royal Marsden Hospital, which is a leading anti-cancer hospital in London. And the drugs can be delivered through the pumps, which you can see those bottle devices on the screen. And that means the patient can have the drug over a period of time at home rather than being sat in the hospital getting their chemotherapy. But the clinicians and pharmacists were worried about the stability of the drug. How stable is it after 5 days, 7 days? So that was one of the areas where our project students were looking at the stability of these drugs and being able to inform the practice team exactly how long it was going to be stable for, and look at things like temperature of the solution. So that helped show how quickly it decomposed. This was the one with the gentleman in Iraq I mentioned to you, and this is another project student who, in this case, we were looking at removing contaminants from water, so metal contaminants using polymer nanocomposites. And again, this was a direct link where my colleagues from overseas were able to speak to the students on Teams and other things to interact and to give them advice, as well as the Kingston academics. And the final one, I'm going to mention this girl again later on, but Brianna, she was looking at stability. In this case, it was antibiotics. And with her, we published a paper on this, which anybody can look at if they want to. And we will try to do that. So if your project has gone well and you've come up with interesting results, then we're very happy to publish these in scientific journals and put you as an author on there. So future skills is very important. One of the main areas of our courses is to try and make sure students are going to be suitably equipped for when they go into industry or academia or wherever they go. And so a couple of very quick examples. Problem solving is, you learn this through your practicals. We have a very big practical element to make sure you have good skills on the techniques. Communication skills, we do this with our presentations. So you research a subject and then give a short presentation to your fellow students and academics. We do a research project at the end. I've mentioned 3 examples of that, and this is to really give you skills where you're working by yourself and developing critical thinking skills. So you're actually taking ownership of the project. And analytical skills, we use some of the main techniques that are used in life science and pharmaceutical industries. So high performance liquid chromatography, mass spec, plasma emission spectroscopy, etc. We have a careers and employability, you know about that, but they'll help you from the start with your CVs and things to make sure that you are employable, because that's obviously one of the main aims of doing the course. And the industry, well, the chemical industry is still one of the UK's largest. It's the 2nd largest, and it ranges all the way across from materials, paints, foodstuffs, right the way plastics, oils, all the way across the industry and the country. Chemical industry is important. And it has large revenue for the UK, so nearly 63 billion euros. And for the life science people, the biotechnology industry has really grown in the UK. It's sort of got a boost from COVID. It's a funny way of saying it, but it got a boost from that. And since then, it's really grown more and more. And the number of companies has increased by 65% since 2016. And lots of funding coming in, and startup biotechnology companies who are looking for graduates in these types of subjects. Just a quick graduate profile, and Luke, he did the MSc in analytical chemistry, and he's now with an instrument manufacturer, Thermo Fisher. Leon moved into asset management, and he's now head of strategic asset management. He was a chemistry student. Tejas did pharmaceutical sciences, and he's now a quality control manager at a pharmaceutical company. Farnaz, there's a laboratory just across the river in Teddington called the Laboratory of the Government Chemist, and it has a subsidiary, Eurofins, and they take a lot of our students, and she's now working there as a lab analyst. Brianna is the student I mentioned before, looking at the antibiotics. She did really well in her forensic MSc, and then went on to do a PhD, a fully funded PhD at the University of Manchester, which she's doing now. She's originally from Perth. And finally, Sonia, she decided to go into teaching. She loved working in education, so she decided to go into teaching, and she's now a secondary science teacher. And just to show you the labs, so we have well-equipped labs. We spent many millions of pounds, so we have decent liquid chromatography, spectroscopy, mass spec, etc., NMR, all the techniques you would expect. And this is an example of a sort of normal wet lab where you would do synthesis work. And that brings me to the end of my talk. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be around later on for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Stephen. I will now pass over to Olga.
Thank you very much, Mona. Let me just share my presentation.
Thank you. I can see there's a few questions that a few students have posted in the chat box. So once Olga finishes her presentation, we'll then have some time for questions and answers.
Thank you. So as Professor Vesna has introduced me earlier, I'm Olga Duran. I'm the head of mechanical engineering. So I'm today representing the School of Engineering and the Environment. So I'll try not to be too biased towards mechanical engineering. So first, a brief introduction about myself. I have a background in microelectronics and sensors, but then I did a PhD in mechanical engineering and worked in different universities in the UK. Once I joined Kingston University, I took different roles as course leader for undergrad programs or postgrad programs until I became the head of the department. I currently teach as well in the mechatronics MSc program, and my research interests are around remote sensing, computer vision, and artificial intelligence applied to engineering problems. So as my colleague from Computer has mentioned, there are a lot of opportunities like internships where you can collaborate with research, or my colleague as well from the School of Chemistry Pharmacy, they have mentioned. So here are some of my interests, which are just presented as examples, of course. So this is one of the projects where I have a PhD student, so it's a research project, but I have also projects around it for both undergrad and postgrads. So it's to measure the emotional and physical states. So when you are driving, whether the person feels unwell, feels sad. So we have a set of sensors and some artificial intelligence to detect whether that person, as I said, is feeling either unwell, so it's a physical state, or an emotional state, and the car would react on these. That's another example. So we have invested quite a lot in these platforms, so in these autonomous vehicles. And I have also, so we have quite a few students working both undergrad, postgrad level in decision making. So what happened if you have unexpected cars coming, pedestrians, or unexpected signals in the traffic. This is a completely different project and is to use bees as environmental sensors. So we have beehives in one of our campuses, and also these beehives are equipped with a number of sensors and also microcontrollers. And we want to see what happened when the bees are exposed to some kind, for instance, of pollution. How will they behave? Can we use their behavior to tell us about the environment? And for instance, in that project, there was one student who started as so he did his undergrad project in this, and then he continued as a PhD. So he got a scholarship from the university and continued to do his PhD. This is another project we have recently been involved in collaboration with computing as well, with computing colleagues, and is to deal with recycling textiles. As textiles are contributing heavily to the landfill and to the waste, and we want to have automation in this industry, in the textile recycling, to identify the different materials. And in here, it's in collaboration with companies, and we had two MSc students who finished and continue to work in this project as a research assistants. So in the School of Engineering, the environment, we have 4 departments. So aerospace and aircraft engineering, civil engineering, survey and construction management, mechanical engineering, and geography, geology, and the environment. So you can imagine we offer quite a wide range of courses, from environmental courses to space or pilot training in aircraft, moving from also other areas like renewable energy, mechanical engineering, automotive, and so on. And also the research areas are quite wide, and they spread over a wide range as well of applications, from materials, composites, as I mentioned, the ones where I work in robotics, environmental and climate changes, fire explosions, energy, even medical engineering. So it's quite a range. And our colleagues will propose, when you have to select your projects, you will see some of the projects around this area. So you have the opportunity to work in your projects with industry-led projects, but also with cutting-edge research projects. So this is some of the keys of studying at Kingston. So particularly in engineering, we have all our courses are accredited courses. So that means that once you finish your studies, you will be, depending whether it's undergrad or postgrad, partially or fully met all the educational requirements to be accredited by one of the accreditors bodies. Like it can be the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, for instance. The other thing is that we tend to be quite practical. So you will be not only designing, but you will also developing your products. So we have extensive facilities for you to do that. And we have these, as I mentioned, industry standard equipment. So, and there is further investment coming. So we are doing over the summer at like 1 million investment in a new 3D design studio. And we also have many engineering workshops and testing facilities. Also, my colleagues have mentioned about the townhouse strategy, and part of it is the future skills journey. So as part of that, the university has asked employers and asking, what do you really want from our students, from our graduates? What will be the skills that you will require in X years when they will be graduating? We have incorporated that into our curriculum. So we want our graduates to excel in these skills like communication, problem solving, creative thinking. So all these that employers value. So another aspect of our courses is that you have the opportunity to visit different sites, and in here there are some examples for civil engineering, but equally they are from other disciplines. So for instance, the renewable energy students will be visiting wind farms. The automotive, they will be visiting automotive companies. So there are different site visits, and depending on your course, you will be also maybe participating in a field trip, as the geotechnical or the surveying students do. I mentioned the facilities, but I will expand a bit more. So we have state-of-the-art facilities. So we have wind tunnels, so where you can test your different designs. We have super rapid prototyping and manufacturing machining. So in there's a picture of some desktop 3D printing, but we have also industrial, so the ones you would be using in industry. So with the capacity of printing in different materials and very large sizes, as well as other manufacturing machinery. And different material labs, and also, for instance, there is a picture as well of our automotive laboratory, which has the latest industrial packages and also hardware. So I will not spend on time because my colleague have already mentioned about the postgraduate work placements. And just to mention that this is something, a route that most of our postgrad decide to go because it opens really the employability prospects. And as mentioned by my colleague, the careers employability services support our students, both undergrad and postgrad, during the course and beyond that, so after that as well. And there is also a dedicated team to support you for the postgraduate or undergrad, for the work placements or the professional development. And this is a list of some of the professional placement companies where our students have gone. This is not exhaustive, so it's just some examples. But you can see the range. There's a very wide range. So in terms of student project, you will be given a list, a selection of the projects that will be submitted by our colleagues in the different departments, and you will be able to select the project of your interest, and you could also decide to propose a project. So this is an example of a student who decided to propose his project, and he designed and manufactured and tested a robot to climb stairs. We also encourage students to participate in extracurricular activities, and this is an example of the Formula Student Car, where students participate. So they this is all by students. It's not only limited to engineering. We have students from business, from computing, from all the places who participate, and they build the car, they go to race it, they design it, they test it, and they drive it as well. So I'm not going to play the video fully because of time, but just to give you an example of the car racing in Silverstone. Okay, finally, I want just to share with you some of the career destinations of our graduates in the school. And I have here the top two of our alumni. So Christos Delantonis is he works at McLaren, and Bob Batty at Formula One. So Christos did his undergrad in motorsport engineering, and then also his MSc with us. While Bob Batty did his MSc in mechanical engineering. Both of them, they are very linked to Kingston University, so they come at least twice a year. Christos brings his supercars, and they also talk to the students. They give the employability talks, and they are very supportive with our students. And of course, all these links means that we have opportunity as well of internships with them, and they are very supportive in general with our students. And I think that's all from me, but yeah, any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olga. That was very insightful. I'd like to now encourage participants to ask any questions to our academics and to our current students who we also have on the call, and we've also got an alum. So yeah, if you do have any questions, please unmute your microphone. I think we had someone that wanted to speak. Is it Haftum? Haftum, do you want to unmute your microphone? Okay, we can move on
We also
to...
had
Oh,
a
sorry.
couple of others, Mona, sorry.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
scrolling through them. So, do you want to read them out, Christina? Sorry.
Yeah, one moment. So while the presentation was going on, Adea had asked, would this information also apply to forensics? And I'd requested her to wait to wait for the completion of the presentations and then come on her microphone and to ask the question. And then she came back to say she also wanted to know where she could access breakdowns as well as textbooks for BSc in forensics.
Okay, so are these topics relevant to forensics? And absolutely they are. I mean, a lot of the techniques you use, like electrophoresis, is used in DNA analysis. So for for DNA fingerprinting of people. The techniques like LCMS and GCMS are used for things like testing for drugs in sport, etc. But as well as the analytical modules that I mentioned, when you do the forensic courses, you will do forensic specific modules. So crime scene to court, role of the professional forensic scientist. And in those modules, you learn about the techniques directly relevant to forensics. So, for example, fingerprint analysis. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was involved in, I'm only loosely involved with the forensics, but I was involved in a court case, a mock court case. And we hire out the local Crown Court, and we do that with the law students. And so each of the forensic students is given a task to present something as an expert witness, and likewise the law students are given the task to cross-examine them. So they will have to give a scientific approach to it and give their evidence, and then the lawyers will do exactly what a lawyer would do in a normal court and try and pick them to pieces, and so the forensic students will be required to give a good response of to back up their information. And in terms of the information for each course, what we do as course directors, we have a letter we send out. It's done through our marketing department, but we have a letter where we put some information on the course, and that includes some typical textbooks, which will be useful for people to prepare for the course. In terms of the course subject, if you click on the web pages, and I notice that's been put in the chat, if you go onto those, it will give the modules, and if you click on each of those, it will tell you the topics within that particular one. So, for example, I'm looking at Introduction to Forensic Science, and it tells you things like have a knowledge of the key techniques in analysis of forensic evidence, show an appreciation of how to deal with trace and contract evidence that may occur in a forensic case, etc. So that will give you information. If you wanted further information, then the course director, each course director is able to field questions from students who are interested in the course. We have all our emails. In this case, it's Brian Rooney, my colleague, Dr. Brian Rooney. I'll write his name in the email, sorry, in the chat. And course directors are very happy to answer specific questions on their course and give you any further details that you may require when you're making your decision about which course to do. Does that answer the question, or is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
So
I think someone's asked, Stephen, when will those... Oh, sorry.
Yes, sorry, Stephen. So Ajaya has added to that, and she's asked, when will those letters be available, and will they specify where to possibly buy these textbooks?
They probably won't specify where to buy them, because they'll be sent to students all around the world. And I mean, Amazon probably would be a good place anywhere to start with. A lot of the books that once you get here, a lot of them we have actually as e-text. So a lot of them are directly available. Every year, the library go through all the books that we're recommended to make sure there is a decent number of them within the library. And as I said, nowadays, a lot more of them are moving into electronic versions, whereby we'll have certain licenses to access them. So those can be accessed by people from anywhere. In terms of when the letters are sent out, we don't do them actually by ourselves as the course director. They are actually done by our marketing department. So I would imagine they would probably be sending them out at the beginning of the summer. So I would expect me to get them soon. But it's not actually the academics who send those out. They're done by the marketing department. So they ask us for input into them, so to give details of textbooks and to write the message and things like that. And then they're automatically sent out to all the students individually.
Thank you, Stephen. In fact, there was another student, Sly, who asked a very similar question, but for MSc in pharmaceutical sciences. So his question was, where can I access topic by topic breakdown, as well as recommended textbooks for MSc pharmaceutical sciences, because he wants to prepare in advance before he enrolls. So I guess, you answered the question basically.
Yeah, I do. And also my colleague, Dr. Anil Van Gala, he's the course director for the pharmaceutical sciences. He has a list that he'll be able to send out to you. So I'll put his email into the, sorry, his, so he's A. Van Gala, kingston.ac.uk. And he will happily answer questions on that for you. I mean, myself, I'm pharma analysis and analytical chemistry, and we get quite often questions from students exactly like that. And we have lists of books and topics and things like that. You know, students will ask, do you cover NMR? Do you cover this, that, and the other? Or students might say, I'm interested in going into a particular career. Can you tell me if this course is going to be useful for that? And that's one of the things that either admission tutors or course directors are very happy to do to help you make your decision.
Thank you, Stephen. I don't know, Haftum wanted to speak, but Haftum, are you there?
I
Yes,
think
I
it
can
looks
see.
like
Yeah.
I see Haftum.
It looks like
the
his
bottom
camera's frozen. Maybe we can ask some of our current students that are on the call, maybe to kind of discuss kind of work opportunities. I know that we have a student ambassador scheme, so maybe someone can, maybe Angela, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, student ambassador is a job that is within the uni, which is basically you representing the uni at different events and things. So, I first came across it when I went on a summer program last year, and I saw student ambassadors basically giving us advice and just letting us ask questions about uni. So come September, which is the recruitment period for the student ambassadors, they were sending out emails and I got involved and thankfully got a place on the scheme. And as a student ambassador, you have access to this portal online, which is where where jobs are posted, and every day by 7 p.m. ish. And so you can apply to a job that you like the look of, and the manager will let you know if you are picked for the job. There's a lot of a huge variety of jobs. I like doing the STEM outreach ones, which are where schools and colleges come to the uni and you can just like help the students feel if they want to go to uni and just answer any questions that they have about it. There's also opportunities to support at open days and graduations. There's just a whole different of different jobs to do. In this way, you can also meet lots of other student ambassadors. So postgrads and different courses, they're all student ambassadors and they'll all work the same jobs as you. So you get to meet them as you're working. We get paid roughly £13 an hour, which is pretty good. My friends are envious of me, which is nice. Yeah, pretty much if you like working with the uni, then you may get the chance to be recruited by the uni after you finish studies too. So it's just all around a really beneficial thing to get involved with. I think Xavier can tell you more about being a student ambassador as an international student.
Yes, Shravi, maybe you can talk about whether it's time consuming to be an ambassador. That's one of the questions that's come up.
Right. So, as Angela mentioned, like with student ambassador, you get an opportunity to get involved better with your university. And as far as the question is concerned, I don't think student ambassador is time consuming because it goes hand in hand with your degree, and also it is not really very time consuming. It's mostly, some of the opportunities are mostly in on weekends, and where you got plenty of time. And also this is a it doesn't have like too many hours to consume your time, but yeah, it is a good opportunity to earn money and also get involved with the events happening in the university. So yeah, it is not time consuming at all.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much. Oh,
sorry, I just wanted to say as well, yeah, it's ad hoc. So
Yeah.
there's a minimum, you know, I think, is it 2 hours that you have to work each month? But you'll have more time, and you'll probably want to work a bit more because the jobs are fun. So yeah, you sign up when you have time, and it, like, if you have a free period in your timetable, you can work during that, and it's really suited to you, really.
Yeah.
thank you, Angela. And I think my colleague Christina has posted the link on the chat box if you do want to find out more about the Student Ambassador Scheme. I'm just going to pass over to Himanshu, who's going to talk about the support that he got to find his job, his current job. So he is an alum. So over to you, Himanshu.
Yeah, so before starting on this topic, I just would like to add with this ambassador thing. Apart from the ambassador, there are some departmental or your course representative kind of positions are also there, which allow us to connect with our own professors, where we can discuss about our other course mates, like questions with the professor of our courses. Now I'm jumping on the jobs. So can I share a screen little bit? Hello. Can I share my screen?
Yes, go
Yes,
ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
sure.
Yeah. So just what I will try to show you. This is the company where I am working right now, Bechtel. So what I'm trying to say, all these companies have a career website in their website, and when you go in any website, you can find out this tab called graduates and students or apprenticeship, depends on the website. Like for an example, I open another company called Arup. Both are the civil companies, contractor companies, and you can also find out like graduates, internship, apprenticeship, like kind of stuff. So whoever is joining the, like, they start their course in uni, I advise everyone to go through this website, make your account on those portals, so you can start getting your emails about their apprenticeship programs or the graduate scheme programs. And when you start applying it, it will help you. Secondly, I also gotten some emails from my professors, my course leader, then my dissertation guide about the job openings, because they are continuously in the contact of the professional in market. And if they have any openings, they will email you that there is a opening, you should apply. So this is how. And the last one is that there is a, like, I think someone has already mentioned, there is also one opportunity come like mentor, KU mentor, where you are, if you enroll in this, you are tied with one alumni who is working in your topic where in which you are studying. So it also helped to find out jobs in the market. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Himanshu. I'm just going to ask Haftum, do you want to unmute your microphone? I know you wanted to ask a question. I don't think he can hear us. So there's another question. Does Haftum, can you hear me? Do you want to unmute your microphone to ask your question? You're on mute.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
No? Okay, thank you for the invitation. for your STEAM virtual event. And I want to ask you about the scholarship of funding of projects at Kingston University, London. I want to say I cannot, or I'm not able I'm not able to fund my study by myself, and I have to ask for funding opportunities or working during my studies. Can I work during my studies as an applicant? Right now, I'm an applicant, and I have got an offer letter from Kingston University on data science course, MSc data science. And I have listened to all the presentations from the beginning. Uh, uh, so I think I don't know whether I have to ask this question or not, but that's my deal. That's why I'm asking you. I cannot fund my study by myself. So can you provide me with scholarship opportunities as far as I am from low income family? And
I think he may have cut off or muted his microphone. Hafton, we will post on the chat details about our scholarship. However, the deadline has now closed for this year.
okay, what about now? Okay, what about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just said that I will post on the chat box the link to our scholarship page. However, the deadline has now passed for this intake. I'm going to move on to one of the other questions that we have. So someone has asked, does Kingston also offer apprenticeships that you can apply for while studying? Maybe one of our academics can answer that.
Yes, I'm not sure what the student refers to. We offer apprenticeships programs in some of our, so for instance, civil engineering offers that. So the way it works is that students work in a company and they will come once a week to do their taught modules. So it is offered in some of the, and I'm not sure those are offered in other departments, but in civil engineer and also in geography as well, they offer those. But when yes, but I'm not sure if the applicant, if Adija mentioned is refers about that, or more about opportunities of working while studying an MSc, which is different.
Thank you, Olga. I think that is all the questions that we've received. Is there any more before we end the session? Nadia, is there anything else that we need to add?
I think that covers everything, except if one of the academics or the students, if there's anything they feel they'd like to share with our with the panelists, yeah, that would be great. Or with the students, sorry. Yeah.
I'm just going to say thank you all very much for attending, and just to reinforce what we said earlier on, the course teams are particularly, very happy to answer any subject-specific questions that you do have. We have expertise in all of the different areas, and all the course teams will be more than happy to. If you have any other questions that come, once you've logged off, then please contact your course team, and I'm sure the general admissions people will be able to put you in contact with the correct person if you can't find details on the website.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And I think that's all does anyone else have anything to add? No, is that all? Well, thank you all for joining today, and a massive thank you to all of our academics and for our current and our alum for joining us this afternoon. My colleague has posted the link to the feedback evaluation form, so we'd be very grateful if you could take a minute to complete that. It does help us with planning future events for applicants like yourself. And I also wanted to let you all know that the webinar recording will be available within 48 hours. And my colleague Christina has posted that in the chat. So that's available on our website. If you did want to go back to any questions or anything that anyone's mentioned, the link is now on the chat. But yeah, thank you so much for all joining us this afternoon, and I hope you all have a lovely evening.